on the third episode of the Superior High Value Man podcast. As always, it is the Superior High Value Man here giving you extraordinary good conversations. It's a blessing to be here once again. It's the first out of many roads that we come across on. There's so many things that is to be expected throughout this year, and it seems like as we continue to move on forward more and more throughout the year, we have so many amazing guests that show up here. Amazing guests like Manny, who was able to talk more about purpose and career. We had Isaac here, who was also able to talk with us once again, purpose, career, but more so on the financial aspect. And man, it's just a blessing, honestly. And so I got another guest for y'all, man. He's a solid dude. We met some time ago throughout a couple of workouts. And ever since, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's always a great relationship when two men meet out in that type of moment, that type of session, to be in a facility where we're growing to get stronger, not just physically, but, mentally as well, He's a man of God. So I'm going to start that off first because he's really down with that. He's someone who's able to walk us through this whole spiritual aspect of life and be able to make sure that we're able to receive something in that type of way where it can move us, right? The man is also a crime scene detective, gang. Crime scene detective, so it's going to be a very solid conversation amongst that. And as well with that, he's someone who's a family man, as I said, man of God, a family man. Also give you a good areas of leadership roles to speak about in this lifetime. So without any further ado, let me introduce y'all to Mr. Leroy Puga. What's up, my man?
Thank you. Yeah, Leroy Puga, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Glad to be on here and try to give some advice in different aspects and, what I do.
Yeah. So we met, I think, was it 2 years ago? It feels like time flies, man.
I think about 3 years ago, man.
3 years.
When the gym was all green. Mm-hmm.
Day 3 years ago. It seems like it was only 2 years ago. That's why I said two, because time flies, man. I know at that time, 3 years ago, there was so much that was taken on in the world that we were experiencing. What's that, 2022? If I remember correct. Yeah, my math is right. Sorry, my math is off, y'all. I'm recovering from my little allergy moment. But 3 years ago, 2022, man, okay. Question, what was 2022 for you like? I mean, I like to hop into questions, but not too quick. But
Yeah.
what was 2022 like for you, man?
Man, from what I can remember, because it's been, a few years, so
Yeah.
2022 was good for the most part.
Yeah.
That's when I started going back to the gym around that time. Started training, and around that time is when I kind of transitioned off of patrol into detective and crime scene.
Yeah.
So it was a busy year, very busy.
Okay. Now, because I try to talk with a lot of people regarding to the experiences of life and see what things happen after 2020. I don't know. It just seemed like a very fascinating time for us to experience because as a kid growing up, we read so much in history books about some sort of sickness that took over, the Black Plague,
Yeah.
And I was like, is this real? Like I had a hard time fathoming these moments to try to understand how can this be so real where this one thing took over so many people in so many areas. And so when 2020 hit, it's not that it seemed unreal. It was just, to me, it felt unheard of. Even though we read about it and stuff, it was just, things just seemed unheard of. And it was a hard time understanding what is being drawn into us. What are we supposed to do? So I asked you a question with 2022, but really I want to ask you 2020 experiences. What was that like for you?
Man, 2020, that's what, COVID around that time.
Yep.
I was on working nights on patrol, and man, we didn't do a whole lot.
Really?
they whatever, if it was just a simple call, nothing in progress or nothing major, we didn't go to it.
Huh.
We didn't go to it. So I mean, if you had an active disturbance, people fighting or somebody shooting or something like that, those we'd go to. But any other call, we didn't go to it.
Was that a good thing, or is that like a?
Well, I mean, it made the shift seem longer, but we had a lot of downtime. We literally just either sat in parking lots, sat at the office, catch up on reports. But I mean, it's a lot of the, I don't want to say not important calls, but kind of the lesser calls,
Yeah.
kind of took our time through our shifts.
Yeah.
A lot of the big calls don't happen as often, depending on the year or the date. But if nothing actively was going on, we just drive around the streets through the neighborhoods, but we couldn't go in.
Now, regarding to your career or what it is that you do, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things, and I'm sure you heard a lot of things. Has, I guess, has crime been lesser than it was at that time, or has it been more ever since?
So at that time, it was less.
Okay.
This is a pandemic that we haven't seen in years,
Right.
years. So something that was so very new for people, and people were afraid of the unknown because they were under the impression you get COVID, you're going to die.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so crime was very less, man. Like there was days where we almost didn't have any calls at all.
Crazy.
Yeah, which was nice to have a little break, but after a
Yeah.
while, it's like it gets
What do
boring.
we do?
Yeah, like we're just getting paid to sit around.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, it was a wild time. It
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah.
So
Dang.
yeah, it's hopefully we never have to go through that again.
No, for sure. I don't know, man. They were okay. I guess because I study. I think I study way too much these days, and I try not to go into like a deep rabbit hole with stuff like that.
Mhm.
I do my best to stay above water and only go from the facts of what's being shown, demographic wise, all this stuff. But people had talked about and said that something like this was supposed to happen because it was an X amount of years that took place with some other sickness that did something similar like this. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Um, I kind of want to believe that in a way because I look at the stock market, for example.
Mhm.
So because I've been able to read off into the stock market for some time into a little bit, I'm able to just understand the reason why certain things happen. Like, oh, the stock market crashed
Mhm.
early in April. Well, why did it crash? Well, not only that, but was this supposed to happen? Was this part of the design?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I see why this happened. I see what is the reason and the possibilities. We're only told from what is that we know on the surface level.
Mhm.
But, if we backtrack towards history, it seems like certain major catastrophic events are supposed to happen. We don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to happen, which is interesting because 2020 was what we call a major pullback in the market
Mhm.
when it comes down to either the stock market or real estate or even business at the matter. Major pullback. And we even had such a major pullback 5 years later.
Yep.
So I guess that's why they maybe asked the question this whole can you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years motion
Mhm.
on that type of scale? So I guess, being able to observe that, like, do you think that everything that happens in this lifetime is part of a design? You know?
Depends. So I believe there's two aspects, right? When something happens, it's always in a hidden agenda for somebody
Yeah.
somewhere, and then there's the spiritual aspect,
Okay.
reason
Okay.
why it happens. Those are the two reasons why I think things happen.
Okay.
Maybe that was both.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Can you break both down?
So I don't know too much, but I mean, as far as having a hidden agenda, I mean, you look at these pharmaceutical companies that were designing the vaccine,
Yeah.
you know, prices of it went up.
Right,
You know,
right.
people are buying it left and right, left and right, left and right. So, um, or maybe it was just a coincidence. You know, this happened. All right, I'm going to capitalize on this. I'm going to create this and create that.
Yeah.
Because everybody's panicking. Everybody wants. They don't want to die. They're afraid.
Right, right.
You know, a lot of times you prey on people's fears.
Mm.
You know, you can get rich depending who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so big pharma,
Yeah.
right? Spiritual aspect. And we'll go in this later a little bit more as far as personal, but
For sure.
spiritual aspect, sometimes things happen so that way, I don't want to say you're forced to turn to him, but the only option that could explain it is to go towards God and talk to him.
Okay.
As far as that spiritual aspect, because sometimes it takes for somebody to be broken down all the way for them to turn to God,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's his plan,
Yeah.
is to break you down to just the bare minimum, and the only way you have to do is just look up and he's there.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's going to be that spiritual aspect, that this happened, created a panic, people were in fear, and a lot of people turn, you know, to Jesus Christ
Yeah.
because they can't explain what happened.
Yeah.
Why is this going on? Why are all these people dying? Yes, it's, you know, because of COVID, but why all of a sudden? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer that nothing happens for no reason.
Right.
There's a reason why. Just we're not gonna have the answers to it
Yeah.
as far as spiritually.
Yeah. 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 Hmm. Did you grow more spiritually, would you say, throughout that time?
That time, no.
Okay.
I was one of the ones to where I was broken down completely,
Okay.
and that's when I became more spiritual.
For
Just
sure.
when I turned to him,
For sure.
because I had literally rock bottom, had nothing else going on, and he literally saved my life.
Yeah. A lot of challenges happen around that time. What I've noticed and talked to a few people, because like I said, I wanted to understand what everybody went through, because that's such a major event. But man, that only happened 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And there was such a huge turnaround for a lot of people's lives, whether it was for the good, the bad, or both. In many cases, it seems like, because everybody had their own path to go through, especially spiritual, as you mentioned before. Like it seemed like you had to elevate in some sort of way spiritually. You had to connect with yourself in some sort of way mentally. I remember at a time I didn't know what much to do other than just to stay active, because we talked about health so much and how we can just be healthy overall. So other than spiritual, were you also growing in that way within your health? Like were you taking care of
Oh, absolutely,
your health? Okay, okay.
absolutely.
What ways were you elevating
So
that way?
when I turned 30,
Uh-huh.
is when I started changing things around, because I was fat and I didn't like the way I looked when I was, you know, turned 30.
Okay.
So that's when I started hitting the gym and started eating right and all this other stuff. So that's around that time is when, you know, I started changing as far as my health goes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What were some of those health aspects that you were achieving off into?
Man, one, you know, obviously everybody wants to put on muscle. Everybody wants to be big. But as far as eating right,
Okay.
you know, what type of foods do what's basically when you go through the health and fitness aspect, you know, everybody's different.
Yeah.
So you have to find something that works for you and works for your body,
Right.
because what works for me ain't going to work for you.
Right. Right.
You know, right? We may have some similarities, but other than that, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So that time is where I had to actually dig down and learn my body and see what it needed and see what worked for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of research, a lot of studying, reading books, watching videos, talking to different people, to gather that information and, you know, kind of, you know, apply it to myself.
Okay. Okay. Would you say that maybe that was just the event where you just grew more than ever within your health and fitness range as well? Like, because you mentioned like you started to grow more in a way spiritual. Did you grow more in the way, you know, within your health as well? Like your
Yes,
physical
around that
aspect?
time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely.
Interesting. Interesting. Man, it's been a couple people that talked to about this before. The last guys that were here as well were able to pretty much coordinate in that same type of direction. And we'll interview a woman here shortly, y'all. So don't worry, I promise. We'll definitely get a woman on the show here and have these same type of conversations. But it's always interesting to me because of how what's it called? Is it your second nature? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like your instinct will kick in. Is that what I'm looking for? I'm trying
Pretty
to remember.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as like when you go into something or something's trying to change, like your instinct kind of takes over.
Yeah. Like your man, I want to say that's the word for it, but it's just second nature. Maybe that's the term I'm trying to use this at this time. And you only know fight or flight. That is also the way to go about it.
Absolutely.
So okay, so now that we're here, was it? Would you say that was more of a fight response or more of the flight response? Or I heard there's a third part to it, but what was that like for you in that moment? Like
So
their areas.
when I decided to change everything, it was a fight.
Okay.
You know, I did not want to be where I was at. I didn't want to look the way I looked.
Yeah.
So I did anything and everything that I could to change.
Okay.
So that was me, you know, working out a lot, working out with a buddy, doing weightlifting, doing high intensity training, doing cardio, you know, just stuff like that. Like I didn't get my choice to stop.
Yeah.
You know, I just kept going, kept pushing. Now there are some times where you get a flight, and that flight is when you don't want to go. You don't feel like going to the gym. You're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess I don't know what the word would be for the second one or the third one, but you kind of sometimes have to have both the fight or flight as far as, I mean, in anything.
Yeah.
But in health and fitness, I mean, you can fight and you fight so much. Sometimes you got to take that break.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give that body, you know, a break, or else your body's just not going to grow, or it's not going to want to do anything. You're not going to have energy. So you got to give that flight.
Yeah.
Take that break.
Yeah.
You know, so it all depends.
Where did you get your inspiration from? I know you said you had your inspiration on certain avenues like YouTube or certain podcast stuff like that, or maybe even certain books. Where'd you get your inspiration from in those moments?
So my inspiration actually started when I was a kid.
Okay.
I always wanted to be a bodybuilder, always wanted to be in shape.
Word.
But life events kind of stopped that once I graduated high school. But, you know, I grew up on, you know, watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Coleman, Dexter Jackson. These are all guys in the late 90s, early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. So I would watch their videos and how they trained and just kind of went off of that aspect. And then, you know, as generations go, just like everything else, workouts change.
Yeah.
More science comes out behind it. So the more you research, the more you're like, okay, well, your body can adapt to this, your body can do that, because there's more science behind it, it's more information. So like I said, I would just watch people that I grew up watching, and then I would watch, you know, people that are in the now. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And like I said, just different aspects. I even watch yoga stuff for as far as stretching and stuff like that, which is you need to stretch.
Definitely.
So I kind of researched the different types of health and fitness, not just, you know, bodybuilding, you know, just the different type. Powerlifting is another one too, you know. So just kind of learned a little bit from everybody, and, you know, just apply it to myself.
Bodybuilding is different, man. That's a different type of sport. I didn't really see it like that as a kid growing up, but I was able to see people do that. And I always just thought, hell yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like, I was like a hell yeah moment. Like, that's something I want to get involved in some way, but I didn't know that it was an actual sport. I didn't know how to get involved with it. I just saw men being men at the time.
Yeah.
And was just very strong as well. Do you think it's a shift? Speaking of those areas, do you think it's a different type of shift nowadays from where it was back then to now? Because I don't recall, I guess maybe nowadays, I don't really hear too many people speaking about that certain type of passion right? Like as far as bodybuilding, like young
Hmm.
men wanting to say like, I want to be a bodybuilder, or I want to be in shape, or something like that. As far as that idea of figure, or even to even throw it into mix, like now things just change physically overall from what it seems like, or at least what I kind of do the research on. It doesn't seem like we're not physically in fit or want to be fit like how it was at that timeline that we
Hmm.
mentioned before, or even in the 50s, 60s, 70s, where you go to PE and then you have to do certain type of activities in
Hmm.
that classroom. Like, do you think? I mean, do you see it changing now? And if so, how, in what way has it changed that you noticed?
So you look back like you said in the 50s. So
Yeah.
one, I think technology plays a huge part in this.
Oh yeah.
You know, at that time, you can watch videos and stuff. Like these guys and girls are out there doing, you know, almost like Olympic style workouts.
Yeah.
Um, all these people are in great shape. I mean, they're probably maybe 10% body fat. That's how in shape they were. And as the years go on, and like we kind of talked off topic earlier, um, it's all the foods that they consumed at that time. As the years go by, more food becomes available. There's more
Mm.
fast food now,
Mm.
and as the time goes, it kind of transitions as far as the schooling system, as far as PE goes. Um, I kind of mentioned off topic earlier, now PE is, from what my wife tells me, because she works in the high school, is either you just go sit in the bleachers or you walk around the basketball court. That's literally all you have to do. Unless you're in athletics, then you're actually doing whether it's basketball, football, whatever that they're having at that season is what you're doing. But other than that, PE is just literally just to check off a box so you can graduate. You know.
So you're a family man
Hmm.
for sure. What's that lifestyle like, being a father battling against that type of outlook system?
And it's tough at times. It really is because my sons or my children are in this new generation, and they are basically exposed to more technology, watching stuff on on the phone, TV, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Kids aren't going outside as much anymore.
Mm.
Me growing up as a kid, I was always outside.
Always. Yeah.
Always. I
Me.
didn't come back in until it was dark. If that, my mama had to yell at me, get
Yeah.
inside the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So trying to teach my kids like, hey, you need to go work out or you need to go do something, become active. I've got weights that I bought them to have in their room so that way they can lift weights.
Mm.
I got a big old 65 dumbbells so they can just do squats there, something
Yeah.
um, to kind of keep them in shape. But I think also what plays a factor is as a father being the head of the household or even, the wife as well,
Mm-hmm.
if your kids watch you go to the gym, work out, eat healthy, they learn those good habits.
Mm.
So that way they'll be like, okay, mom and dad are doing it. They look good, they're in shape, whatever. I'm going to do it,
Right.
you know? Um, so as a father, you kind of have to be on top of those things. You have to be on top of your kids because if not, they're going to be consumed by the outside world. And that's what I try to stop as a father. And a lot of fathers, they don't want their kids consumed by the outside world.
Yeah.
You know, uh, when us growing up, we didn't have to worry about that. Our parents didn't have to worry about that. Well, we have to worry now. All the different dangers, everything that's out there in the world now. We didn't have that when I was a kid
Yeah.
or when we were kids.
Yeah.
So it's generationally, it's gonna get tougher. When my son has his kids, he's gonna go through the same thing, if not even more,
Yeah.
depending on how advanced the technology is, or whatever the world is doing at that time. So it's a struggle at times.
Yeah.
It really is
Yeah.
because you want your kids to be healthy, and you don't get healthy just sitting on the couch playing games all day, eating chips, snacks, or whatever.
Mm.
So my kids, they do have a decent diet. Yeah, we'll go to McDonald's, Whataburger. Can't say no to Whataburger. But for the most part, we cooked home cooked meals.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost every day. And my oldest son, he doesn't drink a lot of soda. Like he don't like a lot of soda. He drinks a lot of water, flavored water and stuff like that. But it also depends on the different type of kids that you have. Everybody has their own personalities and stuff like that. So my oldest is great. He's easy. My youngest son, that boy play games all day. He'll, drink whatever, eat snacks. And, my daughter, she don't eat as much, but she loves home cooked food.
Yeah.
So it all depends what you expose to your children.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're just going to buy the McDonald's every day because it's easy, that's how they're going to grow up. And they're going to implement that towards their kids.
Yeah.
So it's very important as not just a father, but as a parent to implement these things while they're young.
Yeah.
So that way they can transition it and give it, do it to their family.
You're very passionate as a father, man. I
Dude,
must say.
I am like I said, people think I'm harsh on my kids, that I'm tough.
Yeah.
But I'm tough on them because I don't want them to be consumed by the world.
Mm-hmm.
The world, once you turn 18 and you get in that real world, it's going to beat you down if you ain't ready.
Right.
And I want my kids to be ready.
Yeah.
I want them to be covered from different aspects, whether it's, going out for a job interview, having morals, having more of a kind of an old school mentality instead of this new school mentality where, things are expected to be given to everybody, or participation trophies. We don't believe in that. Okay. You get a trophy because you work for it. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to teach my kids.
Yeah.
Is you want something, you're going to have to work for it. Ain't nobody going to give it to you.
Yeah.
I ain't going to give it to you unless you work hard for it.
Yeah.
So I don't baby my kids. I do at some times, but that's the mama's job. My job is to prepare them. And that's what I do.
Yeah, man. Very passionate, dude. I would say one of the most passionate guests we had on by far.
And I tell people and I tell my kids is like, I'm not your friend. I'm more of your, I'm going to be your father first before I'm your best friend.
Okay.
So once they turn 18, they become a man or a full woman, other than my daughter, because me and her are best friends, right? My sons, when they become a grown man, then we can be best friends. But right now, I got to teach you and I got to become your father. And I think that's where a lot of people or a lot of parents mess up. They try to be their kid's best friend. You can't be both. You can't be their best friend and a parent.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick and choose.
Were you at the time able to receive that on your own end as you were a child growing up? Because you spoke about your childhood a little bit. Were you able to receive that too, like that certain type of elevation?
Pretty much. So growing up, we kind of grew up poor.
Yeah.
My mom worked 2 jobs, and then she remarried, and she didn't have to work as much anymore. But my dad, he worked at the plant, so he was always working constantly. So, but my mom always made sure I had everything, that I was taken care of. And my dad always taught me life lessons, which transitioned over today, so that way I can teach my children. Whether it's be, working on the cars, how to fix certain things, teach you have to provide for your family. You have to go to work. Sometimes you can't be home all the time because you got to go out and work, provide for your family. And that's what I teach my kids. I ain't going to be home all the time because, I got to provide for y'all. So I'm going to have to sacrifice some things.
Uh-huh.
So growing up, I was taught very well, especially by my stepdad. He showed me what I needed to do and what to learn to survive. So and when he passed away and I needed to fix something or whatever, then it comes back to me. Hey, my dad taught me this when I was this year's, X years old. I know how to do this, which is great. And it's a lot easier for people. Well, now at times it's easier because you can just YouTube everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but definitely as a kid growing up, I was taught a lot of values, a lot of morals.
If you don't mind, there's a lot of fathers out here in the world, and I think it's always cool to hear some game out there. I'm not even a father, but I definitely want to hear a game from another father as
Mm.
well. What are, could you give us maybe a few points on fatherhood? What are some things that you give to your children that, or something that you're saying like, this is like, I gotta do this thing. I know health is one for sure,
Mhm.
but I'll let you talk on that part. What are some points that that you know as a father you're saying like these are like non-negotiables?
Yeah. So my biggest thing, man, is if you notice a lot of kids in this generation, they really don't have any problem solving skills
Hmm.
because everything is given to them.
Okay.
So my big thing is problem solving.
Okay. How do you
So
problem solve or get them to do problem solving better?
so when they have an issue, right? Me growing up, that's when internet started coming out real big, cell phones, computers, and stuff like that. My parents didn't know anything of that. So they always turned to me to fix it. I didn't know I was a kid. So I had to figure it out. I had to do problem solving.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing when I do anything, especially when I'm at a job or whatever, is it's always great to have somebody to help you to do something, whether that's to fix something in the car or fix whatever. But I always learn to do my job by myself, so I don't have to rely on another person.
Okay.
That's one thing I teach my children.
So problem solving skills number one. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
that's a must. So if they have an issue, I have them instead of me going and fixing it. I tell them to go figure it out.
Okay. All right. What's your number two?
So number two um, is going to be respect.
Mm.
Is respect is a huge thing.
Mm.
You know, again,
What ways can you
you
have them be respectful?
so respect your elders.
There you
That's
go.
that's a big one.
Okay.
Using yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
Okay.
Opening the door for people.
Ah.
That's a big thing. Just being courteous to people. You know, when you meet somebody, you stand up, you look them in the eye, and you give them a firm handshake.
Okay.
That is a must because it's almost a dying art with the new kids.
Mm.
They try to give you a dab or whatever, whatever. We don't play that. You shake, you a man, you shake like a man. And it's almost like being a man is almost a dying art,
Yeah.
especially nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's, what do they call it? Toxic masculinity. Yeah, no, you're just becoming soft.
That's not a thing.
That's
Toxic
not a
masculinity.
thing. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why is it though a thing? I mean, for those who try to make it a thing, why do you think that is a thing?
So, it depends who you ask, man. If you ask women, it's because it's just equality.
Uh,
What more do you want?
okay.
Everybody has Everybody has the same opportunities. Nobody gets paid more, and if somebody does get paid more than you, it's because they have more experience or more to offer.
Right. Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but I think it's just people just don't like how men are viewed as typically superior,
Mm.
right? That's why they call it toxic masculinity
Yeah.
because men are perceived a certain way, and men are just men. We don't do anything just to do it. Like we're just men.
Yeah.
It's in our DNA
Right.
to be not superior, but to be, we're the hunters.
Mm.
That's how it's always been since day one.
Yeah.
We go out and hunt.
Yeah.
Now there are some women that can,
Right. And this stuff,
some beat up some men. They're out there. They got a little bit more testosterone than regular women. But for the most part, men just need to be men.
Yeah.
None of this soft stuff.
Yeah.
You can't survive off that.
Nah.
So, but yeah, man, I think those are some of the things I implement to my children, and I try to teach to other people as well because it's very important. This stuff is very important. Problem solving skills, morals and respect.
Yeah. What would you say would be your third? If you have a third.
Man, if I had a third, I mean, it's obvious. Uh, believe in Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay.
That's a big one.
Okay.
my kids, they believe it. They know him. They know if they need something, they can talk to him, and they know if something doesn't go right in their life, it's for a reason.
Mm.
You know, um, having God near you is, I mean, technically that should be number one, but
No, you good.
um, but it's I have a lot of things that I implement, but those are just a few that I do,
Yeah.
um, and being close with God is definitely one of them, and it almost puts the children at peace, with whatever they're going through, because kids go through a lot nowadays, man, and I see it at work. They
Mm.
go through a lot,
What do you mean?
and they don't know how to handle it. So
Like
you
just life or?
just life, dude, life or any inconvenience, it puts them out of whack. I can't tell you how many suicides that these kids have done because of just something that didn't go their way, or something, their boyfriend dumped them or whatever, or people were calling them names.
Mm.
They take their life because of it.
Mm.
You know,
I wonder why that is. If the suicidal rate is going up, like what are some things that? Well, I guess from your, you're the expert on it a little bit further into detail. What are some highlights that you notice, like, why the rates are going up? Like you said, other than like the breakups, like why is that?
it like I said, they don't know how to handle the inconveniences. They were never taught. I told my son, and when I say I'm tough with my son, I told him,
Yeah,
if you cry over a girl because she dumped you, I told him, I'm gonna whoop your butt. I was like, yeah, no reason for you. Your life is not over.
yeah,
And this was when he was in junior high.
yeah,
That's when he was going through puberty, and I had hell with him during junior high.
yeah,
But I try to tell him these things. You're gonna go through stuff, and you need to figure out how to get through it.
yeah,
And if you don't know how to get through it, then you come to me. I will guide you through it. But the most of the time, I want them to learn to do that on their own, because I'm not going to be there every day.
yeah,
I'm going to die sometime, and sometimes you can't rely on other people. So you got to figure it out yourself, so, but a lot of it, and it to me, it's dumb stuff that they're doing it for. Like I said, my boyfriend broke up with me, or people calling me names or picking on me or whatever. Or, my mom won't let me do this or won't let me do that,
Could that be? I'm sorry to me cut you off, but could that be the reason why school shootings is so much more of a thing?
Yes.
Hmm.
A lot of it is and if you look at, technically, a lot of them, they have some type of mental illness at some point. But a lot of times it's, this guy's making fun of me. He's a bully.
Yeah.
They end up just going for one, and they end up just taking out some other people. But a lot of it is, now it's some type of mental illness, but a lot of it too is just because they're being bullied and they're tired of it.
Yeah.
My hot take on this,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just being real,
Yeah.
is I think sometimes bullying builds character,
It does.
and it's how you take it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Nobody likes being bullied, called names. No matter who you are, it's going to hurt in some type of way.
Yeah.
But how you transition from that is how it's gonna affect you. So if you call me a something and it hurts me, and I'm just like, man, he called me this and that, like whatever, then you're gonna be upset about it for a while.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm still alive. Words are just words. It didn't, physically hurt me. Life goes on. Get over it. So it builds some type of character. It's how you receive it, and how you're able to just work through it. And a lot of people can't work through these things.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
One is either they don't know how, or no one's ever taught them how,
Yeah.
or they don't have problem solving skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, a lot of it is you see is bullying, and some people are just evil, and they just do it.
It seems like I asked that question because it seems like from like we know that it definitely has increased a lot, and I think going back to what you said earlier, it has a lot to do with technology. because in technology, it seems like there's a whole different world. Like social media, like no, different platforms. It could be platform X, it could be Threads, which now has surpassed platform X, by the way. That yet alone is very interesting. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you're familiar with Threads yet, but Threads is kind of like platform X, what used to be known as formerly Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's identical to it. I think what makes it better is the algorithm.
Yeah.
And so when I play with that platform, it's set perfectly to where I have it aligned with what is it that I'm attracting and the people who I want to be surrounded with in a way. And so it works in people's favor.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people, celebrities, may not be able to do the same, and so, or people in general, they realize platform X isn't Threads, and
Mm-hmm.
Threads isn't platform X, because the way how the stuff that they say on that platform won't work on Threads.
Mm-hmm.
I said that, like I said, to go back on it is because the world is different on the media aspect, whether it's through Twitch or platform X or it's through Threads, Facebook, whatever platform that it is. It just seems totally different. Even with video games, like with I'm
Mm-hmm.
even surprised with video games. Like whenever I grew up on Call of Duty, I just always reflect on Call of Duty. We're just talking smack to everybody online,
Mm-hmm.
and people will say the most craziest things, the most craziest things. But our response was just always say the craziest things back.
Yeah.
It I never took it personal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you hurt my feelings, bro. Chill.
Yeah.
Like I never received that because I'm online. I'm talking smack.
Yeah. It's a total stranger.
Yeah, yeah. Even at that, I'm playing a war game, so my testosterone probably boosted by a quadrillion. I didn't even realize it at that time, you know. But I guess now is it? I haven't played like Fortnite, for example. I know that's the most addictive because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Fortnite, you play the game, and when you play it, there's just that one winner out of so many other winners
Mm-hmm.
in the lobby. Yeah, that's tough, man. So
So so my kids play it.
yeah,
I played with it with them
yeah,
once upon a time. I'm horrible. They're so much better than me. But you have the solos, then you have the doubles, and then they're coming out with more triples and
yeah,
different squads and stuff like that. So and I mean it's basically Call of Duty. It's just different characters and stuff like that.
yeah.
So it's essentially it's the same. But yeah, it's people spend a lot of money on that stuff, man. A lot of money.
And that's why I'm interested with Grand Theft Auto. Like whenever they end up coming out with that, what would the world look like then? Because there's a lot of conversations that go off into that field.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Grand Theft Auto, there's conversations where when you say you spend a lot of money that or put a lot of money off into it, well, is it that when that game gets released, is that whatever money that's off in the game, is that going to be our actual life? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. I psychologically I can see this working, but whatever money that you somehow made in the video game can actually be the money that you make in real life, which I don't think there's any video games that's doing that
No.
now.
I
But
think
okay.
that would have to be more of the like virtual reality aspect.
Yeah.
Once because I mean we have it now, but when it gets really advanced, I mean I can see it
Yeah.
sometime in the future. Probably not in our lifetime,
Yeah.
but at some point, yeah.
Whew, man, that's different. That means we definitely will be here for too long.
If we get to that point,
I don't know if it's an if. It just keeps popping up, like just showing how much further we are getting
Mhm.
away from this reality of world and going towards what we know as virtual. I even see it happening in a way where people would spend so much time. Like regular video games, we could spend X amount of time for sure.
yeah,
But to actually live in the virtual reality world, where, like I said, I'm pretty sure whoever does that to say, all right, cool, whatever amount of money that you make in the virtual world, you can make in like the real world, where they focus on that part, or where they really just shift you towards the virtual world where you're saying, okay, cool, you made this amount of money and you get to live as this type of character. I don't know. I think if we're saying like the virtual world, like I'm just using video games for example, if the video game can make me money into this world, then that is a great way how you can pull people from this world and bring them to the reality world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen the movie. I think it's called Player One.
Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's almost like that. But yeah, if we ever get to that point, it's going to be wild.
Okay. Man. I'm just thinking about it. Like I talked about it before. Like, you know, we talk, I think, yeah, we talk about stuff like this, but I don't think people realize how much closer we're getting to those moments in life where
100%.
We're not here anymore. I'm just going to throw this out on the side. Like, I just kind of, like, adult film, I think even that industry will eventually pull itself away because you're no longer using real people anymore. You're using the animation now, which is intense because, God, I can even see how there will be even like a big protest and fight where, you know, the like people, like actual people in the adult filmmaking industry protesting, fighting against the animation. But the person who thought about the animation in a way was just like, well, you know, in a way it kind of helps out y'all because, you know, it's, you know, you don't have to use your body. You know, you can create a character of your own and use that totally separate.
Yeah.
Golly, I was talking to this about somebody, dude.
But even now, like I don't know if you come across it, but like now and then on Instagram, there'll be like a photo of a girl.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, I was like, man, something off. Like something off. When I look close, I was like, dude, this is AI.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, at some point they could, like the whole virtual reality, just like Chat GBT, you give it you just basically give it a sentence of what you want it to do, and it's going to do it. Yeah. So they could apply the same aspect to, you know, the adult film industry as far as virtual reality goes.
Yep.
Hey, you're this, you know, this is the female, her name, she's going to do this, this, and this, blah, 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 and just already have it set in stone where they don't have to do anything else. Damn. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if it comes to that, yeah, it's going to suck for the actors because they're not needed anymore.
Yeah.
They're out of a job.
Yeah. Yeah. Directors out of a job too.
Just AI. You just got to input what you want AI to do, and then that's it. Game over.
Well, people were even I don't know if you remember a few years back, people were even in fights about that part, like the real humans fighting against other humans because they're using, you know, AI to create a good story and movie. And they're like, yeah, I don't really need you for that role like how we would need it. And there was a big fight about that. I don't know if you heard about that or not, but there's a big fight on that. And so that was just humans going against humans. But now the fight, okay, here's what's even crazier. All right, so I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, I don't know if you heard this on the news. I can't recall the country. I have to look this up as we talk, but there's a country out here right now who is using AI as a prime minister.
Really? Jeez.
Right now they're using it as a prime minister. So you got to ask the question, like, are we here now? Is this it? If it comes down to that moment?
Pretty soon we're going to be in a Terminator movie. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I try my best not to see it in that life. Like, if robots take us over, I don't think it's like that. I think it's more so of...
Because you think about it, they're already creating these robots, right?
Yeah.
And what's their end goal is to make it as close as a human as possible.
Right.
So at some point, somebody, just like in the movies, they're going to be like, hey, let's give this thing a conscience. And that's where it all is going to start.
But that wouldn't be a bad thing, will it? Because
that's what they thought in the Terminator movies. No, it's not a bad thing.
If you give it a conscience?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and watch Terminator again.
Or what's that new movie with Megan Fox? She's an AI robot.
I haven't seen
You
that.
need to watch that one. That one,
Oh,
it's
dude.
good.
I try my best to hold off on. I'm not gonna lie to you because I heard it is good like that, but it had messed up a lot of people. I heard like
Uh,
they're out there.
Maybe the weak ones, but yeah, it's a good movie, and it gives you a different outlook on stuff.
I'm trying to find this country. I ended up finding it on Threads. Actually, it popped up. I don't know. Threads is crazy. Like it pops up. Like this app, it definitely has been one of the best threads best apps I've downloaded, which will end up giving me a lot of good information about what's going on in the world. Um, you got to be careful, like everything else, though, because your algorithm, like whatever that you like of, it'll end up be like, oh, okay, you like that, I'll give you more of that. If you end up wanting to say, all right, cool, I'm going to say these words, the words will end up getting sent towards someone else, which is fascinating because this could be someone who just started their threads, don't know you, nowhere near the area, but somehow they got your threads on their timeline algorithm. It's fascinating. Very fascinating stuff. But I'm gonna have to find that little video later. It tripped me out. When I pulled that up, I'm at my job. I looked at it. I was like, "This isn't real. Like, it's a whole AI being involved with the prime minister." They gave her a name and everything like that. They got her involved, and people were just like throwing stuff
Yeah.
at the prime minister. They were just like, "This is crazy. This is outrageous." And she was just talking. I think it could be like iRobot. That's what I was thinking about
Okay.
the movie. Not
Yeah.
Terminator, but like iRobot.
Yeah.
I think it could be similar like that. However, as long as it's not what's her name, I keep thinking Alexa is like that. Like Alexa is that girl from iRobot, and she just like super smart, super intelligent because they tap. Do you have an Alexa at home? Like you have one of those at
It's not hooked up anymore.
home? What happened? What happened?
They listen to your conversations and
You think so?
stuff. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything we do is being recorded, pictures taken, everything.
Have you noticed like what happened at that time when you were like, all right, we gotta unplug this. Like we just talked about this thing happening, and
We'll just kind of just watch like people's experiences as far as they videos. I can't remember what exactly happened, but essentially was Alexa was basically spying on them, like recording everything, listening to them, everything. So it's like, you know what? I don't want them to hear the weird stuff I be saying. I'm gonna turn this off. But yeah, just anything and everything, dude.
dang,
I remember when Xbox came out with, I think it was the Kinetic. It had the little like motion detection little thing.
I'm trying to think about
This was can't remember where it was.
the first Xbox.
No, it was a Kinetic, so you can almost play games like the Wii and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Watches your movements. Back then, they were like, yeah, this machine can map out your entire house with its like infrared technology that it has on it. Yeah. So like there's a lot of stuff that we have that has a hidden agenda and we just don't know. But that's when we start getting to the whole conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So that's a hole we don't want to go down.
That's yeah.
But to me, just like tall tales, there's always some type of truth in it.
Yeah.
But what's the truth?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. All right. We may say the conspiracy theory for another time, because I'll go down that rabbit hole. Like I said, I try to stay above water throughout all information, throughout all facts, but it's just really hard to not touch that a little bit
Yeah.
because of what keeps popping out. Like, I'm just throwing the conversations out here. This has nothing to do with us, but just this whole conversation with Epstein files is crazy. I don't think the whole thing will end up getting released. I think there's so much information in there that if it ends up getting out, everybody's in trouble. Everybody's in deep stuff. I think the information that we keep getting every once in a while which some people keep bypassing, is like, guys, we keep saying someone's name over and over and over again. At some point, you have to understand that that's just level one.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't even really touched levels like that. And I would like to argue and think that in some weird way, Trump knows that and is really doing his best to save a lot of people as possible,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
everybody in that. Yeah, like a lot of people are trying to save people off in that field because it's very dangerous. I would agree though, also that while he's doing that, the people he's saving, he's also negotiating. Like, look, if this thing gets out, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing my best to save it. So we need to come together and work together.
Yeah.
Which is why it could be some possible weird alliances being done in, or some sort of weird collaborations all of a sudden. Some odd reason. I'm not saying any names, by the way, but I kept hearing $150 million keep getting thrown out into the open, and some people have got it. I heard some people got it. They might got more, but somewhere close around that way.
Mm.
I try my best to pay attention to people who are those influencers in that way too, because in some weird way, you'll even hear them have a discussion saying, "Oh yeah, $50 million was offered out to me to do these certain things, and I refused it and I declined it."
Yeah.
And so, I guess now, as you mentioned before, which is great that you talked about problem solving skills. Like as a parent, you're giving that to your kids, because I think that's something that it's hard to discuss. Like I can only imagine like my parents trying to talk to me about this stuff, and I'd be like, "Look, I'm just a kid,"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which is why you have to be hard.
Yeah.
Like you have to be tough on your kid,
Yeah.
because it's just so much reality, and the more that I think this is why technology is moving the way they're moving, but the more reality just keeps showing itself in this way, like maybe that's why kids, or that's why in some way people want to just go virtual, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not as harsh and not as crazy. Like there isn't.
There's no human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like a lot of kids or a lot of people nowadays don't know how to interact with others, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I think the whole virtual reality, where you can become anyone
Yeah.
or anything,
Yep.
it kind of suits them
Yeah.
because they can be whoever they want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 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 How would this relate spiritually? What you think on that? Not conspiracy, of course. This isn't. I don't know if it gets conspiracy, it gets conspiracy. But I mean, I hear that the conversation of the mark of the beast is a thing that relates technology wise, but in some way, I think I was like, no, that's not it. It was something else being explained about it. But how is it? How are we relating this to the life of spirituality and the life that we're shifting towards to when it comes down to technology? In your opinion,
Well, so my opinion, as far as the more technology improves and progress,
yeah,
the less and less people are going to turn to Jesus. And you think about how the devil works is to create separation.
okay,
So the more enticing technology becomes, the more and more people are not going to need God anymore.
yeah,
So that can also be another play that or another angle that he's working at. The first one is to separate the husband and wife, break families.
Right.
That's just number one.
yeah,
So I think as more advanced as technology goes, that people aren't going to turn to Jesus Christ. They're not going to believe in God because they have virtual reality. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
And at that point, when we get to the point to where it's just all total virtual reality, like your job is in the virtual reality realm, you're making money there. The only time you actually come to the real world is to go to sleep. You know what I mean? Then you wake up, you get back in. At that point, I mean, that's basically going to be hell on earth.
That's crazy.
Everybody that believes is already gone.
That's crazy. I'm thinking Grand Theft Auto, like what we talked about, like What? All right, so it's like because that's Grand Theft Auto. You know, you play the game, you don't have to sleep, but in some way you choose to let your character sleep.
Hmm.
I think back then, like when you let it sleep, he would save the story, like you save the game.
Yeah.
But like now, like if I'm not mistaken, back then, like even in those moments, even when he sleeps, he just sleeps and like wakes up and like, all right, cool, we're back at it again.
Hmm.
So like now, I never heard anyone say this before. This is interesting how you're thinking about this.
Yeah.
So you're in the virtual world and you get so drained, and exhausted, and that you leave the virtual world. All you're doing is coming back to the reality world to just sleep.
Hmm.
Maybe of course you would eat and drink something a little
Yeah.
bit, but you don't spend much time in this world. You only spend probably like a part-time shift, like
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours
Yeah.
within a day, because you gotta run errands, or you gotta keep the lights running, or you gotta use the money that you got from virtual world, you bring it to the reality world, just so you can use that money to keep the virtual world going.
Hmm.
Wicked.
Yep.
Dang. Dang, bro.
It's crazy that
Yeah.
that if that every day comes, it's gonna be wild,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be in a lot of people's eyes hell on earth.
Mm.
So everybody that believes in Jesus Christ is gonna be gone.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
You
Speaking
know.
of that, they're getting rid of people. Oh man, I don't want to say the wrong country, but there's a lot of killings going on because people are still standing on Christianity
Hmm.
and getting killed for that.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, it was recorded like 200,000 people that are getting killed in this area.
Which is mind blowing that you know people die nowadays, not just for religious aspect,
Yeah.
being Christian or whatever, but having a different opinion, being a different race, or whatever the case may be. That's just it's wild. You know what I mean? Um, but that's the life that we or the world that we live in now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's happened outside the country, and I think it's only a matter of time. Hopefully, it doesn't happen here. We don't turn into a third world country, but it does seem like we're shifting off into a third world country behavior and
Hmm.
third world country act by just testing the waters with certain things here.
Yeah,
There hasn't been any crazy stuff going on in the streets, but
not yet.
there's been a lot of tests going on.
Stuff. It always comes in waves.
Okay.
Comes
Well,
in waves.
what would be some of the signs
So
you think?
so you think about and I was told this by an older law enforcement guy that's retired and whatever.
Mhm.
When we had the whole George Floyd incident, right? That
Right.
lasted for a while,
Yeah, sure did.
and
Too long.
we've never seen that as far as. I mean, you had Rodney King back in the '90s,
Yeah.
but as far as the next thing goes, was the first thing that we've experienced.
Yeah.
So the guy was like, "Man, it's gonna come and go. It comes in waves.
That's
It's
crazy.
up and down."
Yeah.
So, in my personal opinion, a lot of this stuff happens for some type of political gain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Just like with these assassinations,
mm-hmm.
there's always some kind of hidden agenda. So, I mean, the next couple years, we could see another, riot
Yeah.
happen for whatever reason it may be.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, the next one could be religious beliefs.
Right. Yeah.
They might start killing Christians here. You believe that happens here? That's going to be a civil war. It's going to happen
That's crazy,
at that point.
dude. That's crazy.
But
It's crazy because we're talking about it now, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I see it happening,
mhm,
and this is gonna be one of those moments in reality in life when we all reflect back on these videos or reflect back in this moment, like, bro, I just talked about that a
Yep.
couple years ago. We just said that like yesterday moment.
mhm,
I think for a lot of people, they don't realize like it could happen tomorrow.
yeah,
And the fact that it happened is just like mind blowing, because some people are able to be just as gifted in these moments that we're being gifted as, and
mhm,
to receive the message, and then also to share the message amongst others to bring awareness in this type of way. Because man, there's just there's a lot, a shift going on what to expect and what's able to come soon from stuff like this.
Absolutely. And you look at now, um, speaking of religion, speaking of Jesus,
Mhm.
Christian stuff like that, we don't have freedom of speech.
Right.
We don't. Everybody shuts us out. Oh, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. But if we say something about transgender people, gay people, we're the bad people because we said something.
Mm.
It only works one way.
Mm.
So we're always going to be in the wrong.
Mm.
That's just the way society is now.
Yeah. 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 Dang. I was thinking about something that you had said a few moments ago, but that transition too was perfect because I think I can see why we're just more in that stage now of, like you said, removing masculinity, removing fatherhood, removing what ways that men were known traditionally
Mm-hmm.
and was able to be respected off on. Is the attack mainly on men? Because I read history at times, and it's just a lot of men battles
We
from time
talking
to time.
about spiritually? Because spiritually, yes.
I think all the above at this
Because
point.
you think about it, it's gonna have to start with spiritually. Because you think about as far as how things are supposed to go.
Mhm.
So you have God,
Mhm.
you have the husband,
Yeah,
the wife,
yeah,
the kids.
yeah.
So if you take out the husband, that breaks that line.
Everything.
Unless you have a strong woman to pick up the slack, then he's already won. He broke that family. He broke that connection. In the Bible it says, the husband is supposed to bring the family to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You take that away, you already broke that line, that connection to him.
Yeah.
So it's going to be harder for that family to reconnect with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm. As a husband and as a father, you have a good point. As a husband, as a father, how can men prepare themselves for that type of alignment?
that is a good question. That's a very good question. Um, it all depends, man. Like, depends the type of person that you are. Because, you got men that just don't want any type of responsibility and they just want to go do whatever they want. Then you got men that want a family and will do anything and everything for their family. So, but then again, that transition almost to the same thing. You look at these families, and it has nothing to do with race or religion, but families that have an absent father, the household, either, the kids, either, the wife is out doing drugs or sleeping around or whatever, or the kids are out doing, God knows what, gang banging, selling drugs, whatever. They're getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
They're because they don't have a father figure to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like sometimes it can be a generational curse.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So if your entire family, there have always been just a woman, just the women basically having the kids and teaching the kids. Not saying that it's always the case, but a lot of the times the case, it's single women families, without a father, it's hard for these people to grow up as men because they don't know anything. They're being taught by a woman. Now, I'm not saying being taught by a woman is always bad because you do have people that are raised by women that are successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the majority of families that are just controlled by the woman and the children with no father in their life, they lead to crime. And so that becomes a generational thing
Yeah.
because you think about, like we talked earlier, the way that I teach my family is how I grew up, how I was taught.
Right.
So if you're taught a certain thing, you're going to apply that to your own family.
Yeah.
So and it's not the kid's fault. That's just how what they see, what they know. And you look about it too in other statistics, like, and I'm not to say to condone their actions, but you look at these people that are child molesters. That's because they were molested. That's all they know is being molested.
Interesting.
So it messes up their mind to where that's at that point it was an interaction. Granted, it was horrible. It was an interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to apply the same thing. Like I said, not to condone it, but that's all they know. So that's what they're going to do. So if you keep doing this stuff, and it also brings back to how, when you're exposed to something, how you get through it is how it's going to affect you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So generational curses you can break.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that same action. Let's say you have this dude that molested this person. This person, gets messed up in the head, does the same thing. There has to be at least one person that's going to be like, hey, I was molested. I'm not going to let it control my life forever. And then they break that chain, So it all varies. But I think having an absent father is it's gonna break the families. And it's a huge part to have a father involved. But not to say that they can't be successful, because they can be. They're just going to have to work a little bit more.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to put in the work.
So this is really a purpose, a conversation for men with purpose for sure. It sounds like. It sounds like also with men, before he becomes the husband, before he becomes a father, there are some things that he must do beforehand, or should consider beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things should he consider before he steps off into those important roles?
So, and like what we had talked earlier of how I teach my son,
Yeah.
Is an advice before, like I got married at 19. I had my first kid at 19.
Yeah.
And I tell my son, it's like, look, I don't regret having y'all, but if I had to do it all over, I'd make sure I was established.
Yeah.
I had a good job. I have money saved up. I have a house already.
When you say established, you mean like established, like financial wise, or
Yes,
okay,
financially.
Okay.
Before you even think about having a family. So that way you don't have to struggle like I struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think before you step into a husband or father role, and like I said, everybody's different.
Yeah.
But if you can set those first, it'll be a lot easier for that transition, especially when you become a father. Because when you become a father, you have a whole different world you got to go through.
Yeah.
Now you have a little person that's basically just there, and you have to protect it. You have to feed it. You have to clean it. You have to make sure it stays. You basically have to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Until it becomes a full adult. That's your job as a father, is to keep it alive.
I know a lot of times we talk finances. I do my best to kind of balance this out now that I'm growing more in this range. Establishing financial roles as a man, will you say also what makes it powerful is someone who studies law too, since you're also in that field of law?
I would say studying the law does help.
Okay.
Most definitely. I mean, any type of knowledge that you can gain is going to help you in any type of situation. But I think it'll be beneficial for somebody.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, is that one of your roles pretty much as far as like men before they become fathers and husbands? Should they know some? I wouldn't say like law, like the law of what the government is, but just some sort of laws. It could be even universal laws, or it could be 12 commitments kind of thing. Like, would that kind of be something as far as what you're stating, like a certain type of men roles that plays a part other than the finances? Is it just financials?
I mean, financials is a huge thing.
For sure.
I think it's one of the main things.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it's one of the things that kind of, I don't want to say gets overlooked, but sometimes it does get overlooked,
Yeah.
right? Because you're just so focused on, hey, I'm gonna start my family,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do this, do that,
Yeah.
and you forget about the financials.
Yeah.
Because it costs a lot to raise a family,
Yeah.
and then the more and more children you have, the more and more money you got to put out.
Yeah.
So I think if you're gonna establish at least one thing right out the bat, is to be financially fit.
Okay.
If both you and your wife can be financially fit, even better. You have two financially fit people.
Yeah.
Your life is going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Raising these children is going to be a lot easier.
Okay.
Now, some people don't have those opportunities, but still, you can have a successful household.
Okay.
So if any advice, and I'm sure anybody that has a family and as a father, being financially stable is one of the most important things that you can have straight out the bat.
How important in comparison would that be with having God in your life?
Well, obviously, having God is going to be
Yeah.
the most important thing. But as far as the physical aspect in the now in the physical realm, being financially fit is extremely important. Now, being spiritually and having God in your marriage, in your family, and raising your kids, absolutely, it should be the number one thing. But as far as being here on earth, physically, financials, spiritually, it's going to be God all day. And I'm not saying, that being financially fit is more important than being spiritually fit, because it's not.
Yeah.
But in order to be comfortable here in the world, yes, you have to be financially fit. But if you're able to be very strong in your faith, then everything else will fall into place. Being financially fit, being healthy, being mentally ready to become a father, because it's a lot mentally when you have a wife, when you have children. It's a lot, and men go through a lot of mental stuff that people just ignore. And having a family's tough, man. It's very tough at times.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't spiritual straight out the bat. Sometimes people find God at a later time in their life. So if you're not spiritually fit, then be financially fit, and then everything else will fall into place.
Right on.
Sometimes you being spiritually is meant to come at a later date. Maybe you're not meant to be spiritually right now. It's His plan. So just like when I went through mine, it was His plan.
Yeah. Would you have any influential leaders that impacted your life that you will be happy to share with us? Like, there's this book I'm reading called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And I started to do some work on my own this week, or last week. Today's Monday. Would you say you have certain type of influential leaders that you look up to that impacted your life that you like to share with us on, like that you follow?
So with me, man, like I don't follow like sports. I don't watch sports.
Okay.
Same. My thing is I don't believe in ditching out all this money on somebody who doesn't even know you exist. Right. So I like to deal with people that I know that will help me. My biggest one is my father, or my stepdad. He was my biggest role model, who taught me everything. Very passive man, very passive. I think with growing up, I think I've only seen him mad 2-3 times. One of them was my fault. He only hit me a couple times. One of them was my fault because I had a fishing pole and I threw the line over the power line, and he whipped my ass for that. He did, and granted, I deserved it. But he always took the time to teach me things, how to become a man at a young age, which helped me for when I was transitioned. So by that time I was 19, yes, I was young to have a family, but I already had the mindset of, okay, I'm married, I'm having a kid on the way, I need to go to work, I need to provide for my family, whatever it may be, whatever job it may be, it's a job, and I'll be able to provide.
Yeah.
Right. So he taught me life skills. He taught me problem solving skills. He taught me how to, just not to rely on other people, and that's where I got to where if you're going to do a job, learn how to do it by yourself, not to rely on people. Because sometimes you can't rely on people, you know. But definitely my father was somebody who taught me a lot about life and how to become a man through this world. As far as like other leaders or anything, I mean, not really, man. Not that I, as a kid, no. My dad was the only person I looked up to and looked for advice. And it's not until me as an adult to where like, I don't know everything. So let me go figure out who actually talks about stuff. And that's kind of where when you want to learn more about God, where are you going to go? You're going to look up, either read the Bible or watch videos of pastors giving sermons.
Yeah.
Right. So, I looked at, when I followed this journey, I looked up to my pastor because, you look at churches nowadays, some of them use the Bible to their advantage. There's, the scriptures and stuff like that. They pick and choose what they want because they don't want to offend people out in the church.
Yeah.
My pastor, he didn't play that game. He didn't play that game. He's going to be like, if you're gay, trans, or whatever, you're here, like that's great. That's but good. I'm not condoning what you're doing. Yeah. But if you want to be here and listen to the word of God, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tiptoe around your feelings about it.
That's right.
And that's what I respected.
Yeah.
So I started watching, they have an app, and I started watching his sermons when I couldn't go to church. And, he brought a lot of different aspects about today's, everything that's happening today, kind of correlates with what the Bible goes. So he was in the now. He wasn't just, I'm old school, this is what you're going to learn. No, he gives you current advice on what the Bible, which helped a lot. So I him being influential, definitely. Okay. I learned a lot from just listening to his sermons. Yeah. But as far as other people, it's just my dad, man. It's the only person I look up to and I listen to.
Any historical?
Not so much, man. Okay. Like, growing up, I really didn't read books. In school, I only read them because I had to.
Yeah.
But, there's been a few people in my life that had, some type of impact. You think about it, the coaches I had when I was in junior high playing football taught structure. When I told you earlier, high school going through ROTC, structure, having the instructors there. Some teachers that were, willing to help kids, pass and not just, hey, I'm a teacher, you're annoying, you're going to fail. No, you mean, put in some effort. You put in some effort, I'm going to put in an effort to help you. Mm-hmm. So, I have a couple of teachers in mind that I remember to this day, and they remember me, that were very influential at the time, especially when I needed it. Going through high school was hard. That's when I found out my dad had cancer. So it was very tough for me during that time. But, man, normally people who I know and family members that I have are influential. My father-in-law is a very good man. I listen to his advice as well. But generally, if you want to talk about historical people in the Bible,
That's good.
if you want to actually, and it's crazy how the Bible works, dude. You can have any questions. You can turn to any passage. You're going to find it.
Yeah.
No matter where it's at, you're going to find it.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, who are the people that you saw in the Bible that relates to you the most?
Man, when I was
to connect with in that way.
When I was going through, just side note, 3 years ago was a hard time for my marriage. My fault. I cheated on my wife, right? And she found out, and I'm not a person to lie. She confronted me, and I told her the truth. I'm not a liar, right? So that time was very, very hard for me. It was very dark, and it tore my family, and it was my fault, And I had regret, and I was ashamed of myself, so ashamed that I pushed my wife away. But my wife was like, "Hey, we can work this out. We can get through it." What type of woman does that nowadays? You can't find them.
That's right.
So I pushed her away because I was ashamed. And I moved out. I got an apartment out in Galveston. And I tell people this is where, God's going to let you do what you want to do until he's had enough. And the AC in the apartment was broke. So it was hot. At that point, that's when God said, you need to go back home. So I was forced to go back home because I wasn't going to live in no apartment with no AC.
Yeah.
Went home. And at this time, too, my wife was getting her spirituality daily, reading the Bible, talking to God. And he was talking to her, literally talking to her, to where he told her, let him go, leave him alone. I'll deal with it. It's pretty much what he told her. So she gave me my space. So when I went back, it was awkward. It was weird, but we started talking more, getting closer and whatever, and she was telling me, these certain passages helped her through it. So I started reading it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Matthew.
Book of Matthew.
Matthew talks about, and if you talk to any women nowadays, you talk about submission, they're going to take it as a bad way. But in the Bible, it talks that you need to submit to your husband.
That's right.
And it also talks you need to submit to your wife. But
That's right.
submission is not, be a slave to that person.
That's right.
But it's submit to them spiritually, emotionally, physically, in the right way. And it goes both ways.
Yep.
That helped me. That saved my marriage. That helped my wife. I am physically here today because God intervened and he had more for me. If it wasn't for him, I would not be here physically. So the book of Matthew, it has saved my marriage. So if anybody has issues in their marriage, they can start with the book of Matthew.
That's good.
It'll help you.
That's good.
And it helped us.
That's good.
We are a living testament of it.
That's good.
Because not everybody can survive. Not a lot of people's marriages can survive what I did. You have to be spiritually ready and willing to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior in order to save it.
That's good.
So that Matthew is who saved me.
Okay. Book of Matthew saved you. Okay. All right. Well, gang, with that being said, we pretty much wrapped this up for today. I think we ended off on a pretty solid note.
Absolutely.
Everything was really good. Yeah, man, this is the Superior High Volume Man. We did episode 3. We're moving on to 4, so be ready. Stay tuned for that. I think on episode 4, we're going to end up bringing a woman on the show. I think it's about that time, gang. We had an amazing session, 3 amazing men that hopped on the show. I think it's time to put a lady on the show and have her, step up and be able to speak about some really awesome things. Her life experiences as a woman, what it's like to be a woman, fulfill her life within her purpose, within her career, more likely her connection with God, different things of that nature, So with that being said, gang, until next time, we appreciate y'all for always tuning in. The Superior High Volume Man, we out. Peace.